Hi, I'm Alex Howard, and firstly I'd like to welcome you to this video and also to this series of videos called Making Sense of ME, Chronic Fatigue and Fibromyalgia. Now, the first thing I wanted to do was just to briefly introduce myself and my background, and also then to briefly introduce the Optimum Health Clinic, because in a sense I think that's important to give you a bit of an understanding of why I feel qualified to talk about this group of illnesses. And the chances are, if you're watching this, you're going through your own experience, which, if it's anything like mine was, will be being extremely challenging and difficult. And so I want you to have a sense that I've been there and may have experienced some of what it is that you're experiencing. So I suffered from ME chronic fatigue for 7 years. I spent the first 2 years virtually housebound. I then spent 5 years basically doing everything I possibly could to find a way out of what was an immensely challenging situation, with symptoms from severe fatigue to muscle aches, headaches, dizziness. It was incredibly frustrating, difficult, literally painful. And I think one of the most challenging things was that so few people really understood what it was that I was going through. And so after spending 2 years virtually housebound, I went on a 5-year quest basically of studying everything I possibly could to try and find a way out of my situation. And through numerous different books, practitioners, treatment approaches, I was lucky enough to find a way out. And on the other side of my journey, I decided to write a book about my experience, which was called Why Me? My Journey from ME to Health and Happiness. In fact, beneath this video, you can read the foreword to that book, written by Shirley Conran, OBE. But give you a bit of a sense of the book and that story. But after writing my book, I was contacted by a number of people saying, well, how did you, I understand I read your book, I understand some of the story, but I want to find my way to do the same. And so, in a sense, I was compelled to go on to set up the Optimum Health Clinic, which has gone on to become, in the 8 years since it was started, one of the world's leading integrative medicine clinics specializing in ME chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. We have a team of over a dozen practitioners specializing in the psychology side and the nutrition side. We also have our medical director, Dr. Nikki Crowley, who provides a diagnostic service. And we have an in-house research department led by Dr. Megan Arrell. And at the point of filming this video, we're currently investing 100% of any profits from the clinic into our research department, because it feels like building more of an evidence base behind what we do is incredibly important. And so far, we've already made some good strides towards doing that. And having worked with literally thousands of patients through the clinic in over 35 countries around the world, we've certainly got a lot of experience in what we do. And one of the things that we've recognized, and we, in a sense, I guess we knew from the start, and it was a foundation principle in what we do, but it's become clearer and clearer with the more and more people we've worked with, is how different every situation is. And I think that's where a lot of traditional approaches get very stuck, because they try and see things from one lens, from one perspective, without recognizing that there are different things happening in different people in different ways at different times. Having said that, there are also patterns to that process. And that's some of what I want to talk to you about in this series of videos. Now, obviously, there's a lot more that I could say than in a series of 5 videos I want to try and keep to around 5 to 8 minutes each. And beneath each of the videos, there are some links where you can either watch further videos or do some reading to support some of the ideas that I'm talking about. But also there's a lot more information available through the website where these videos are as well. Now, if any point through watching these videos, reading the website, you recognize that you would like to talk to one of our team about how this may relate to your experience, then one of the ways that you can do that is by having a free 15-minute chat with one of our practitioners. And that's basically your opportunity to ask the questions that you've got about how our approach may apply to your situation. And as I say, having worked with literally thousands of people, we've got very, very good at recognizing, in a sense, where people are, why certain things have worked, haven't worked to date, and how best to help them navigate forward. In a sense, it's like creating a roadmap from where somebody is to be able to get to where they want to get to on the recovery path. Now, in this first video, in addition to introducing myself and the clinic, I also wanted to invite you to read the first scientific paper that we published through the clinic, which really gives you a sense of some of the academic side behind the work that we do. So the paper was published in the Journal of Integral Theory and Practice, which is a peer-reviewed scientific journal. And in the paper, really what we do is we talk about our approach and our framework, but we look at the evidence that supports it. And there's also a very interesting case study in there as well, which is a good way of understanding in practice how our approach actually works. Now, in addition to being able to read the academic paper, we also have an easy reading guide. So if you're somebody that doesn't have a scientific background, which most people don't, and also perhaps you may feel a bit daunted by the idea of reading a whole scientific paper, in the easy reading guide, we've basically highlighted some of the key points in the paper, so you can kind of read the paper without having to read the paper, if that makes sense. And I think that'll serve as a really good introduction to the way that we work, but we're also going to go through some of the ideas in there in this sequence of videos as well. So I wanted to kind of offer that, as it were, because at this point often people say, well, what's the evidence behind what you do? Well, that's some of the evidence behind it. But then as we come through these videos, we're going to break it down into some more specifics as well. And in the second of these videos, in the next video, which will come out in a few days' time, we're going to look at the stages of ME chronic fatigue fibromyalgia. I think this is particularly important because it's one of the key ways of how we explain to people why certain things that have worked up to a certain point are no longer effective, or why things work for some people and not for other people. It's one of the models that we use to help understand that. And so we'll talk about those three stages in the next video. And in the meantime, please do take the time to read the foreword to my book, and also to have a look at perhaps the easy reading guide version of the paper in the Journal of Integral Theory and Practice. And please do also take some time to browse the website as well. So I look forward to talking with you in the next video in a couple of days.